Today we're going to check out this VHF Yagi TV antenna from Televes. Alright, this antenna comes in pieces, but the assembly is pretty simple. You're either going to need a crescent wrench or a 10mm metric wrench to assemble it. Start by loosening all of the bolts on each element and just loosen them enough so you can turn each element out and set it on the boom with those notched clamps. Tighten it up, but don't over tighten it though. You don't want to break one of these cast aluminum clamps that holds the elements in place. Next, you're going to remove this nut and bolt that hold the yellow transformer in place. Take that out and then carefully slide the antenna boom through the folded dipole and snap the yellow transformer onto the antenna body and then bolt it down. Next, you're going to put the back reflector on, and to do that, you're going to remove the nut and bolt at the very end of the antenna, and then take the rear reflector element and then place it in that little groove on the clamp. It lines up with that small pin that's on the clamp, and then place it on the antenna and bolt it down. And once again, remember not to over tighten these bolts because these clamps are made of cast aluminum. You don't want to go breaking them. Now you can connect the two halves of the antenna and bolt them together. And finally, you can install the mast clamp. I chose to put mine in front of the transformer. That way it was a little more centered on the antenna, and I felt that would help to give the antenna a little more balance. This antenna from Televes is designed for reception of Hi-VHF TV channels 7 through 13, and it's appropriately sized for that, being 54 inches long and having elements as wide as 36 inches. It's right in the wheelhouse of that TV band. It's very light considering its size and seems fairly well built. One thing I like is that the elements are bolted to the antenna body as opposed to simply riveted. And here it is on a mast 17 feet in the air. It's pointed in the direction of my local broadcast towers. Now we'll go inside and run a channel scan and check that signal strength. This antenna did a pretty good job picking up my local TV stations. RF channels 2 and 4 came in with a decent signal strength, hovering anywhere from the mid to high 60s. And I noticed that this antenna was able to keep the signal pretty stable. It only fluctuated by a margin of 4 or 5%, which is really good considering that these two channels are on the low VHF band, outside the wheelhouse of this antenna. RF channel 9 came in a lot stronger in the 80s, although it dipped as low as 79 and went as high as 93. So it seems like all the gain is on the high VHF band, which is to be expected from this antenna. I think this antenna would do well in any city or suburban reception area where you need a VHF antenna to receive the full band of channels in your area. You can combine this with a UHF antenna so that you can receive both VHF and UHF channels. And I think as far as mileage goes, it would be reasonable to expect this antenna to pick up high VHF stations within a 40 to 50 mile range.